There you go.
All right. Welcome. Sunday afternoon / evening, depending on what time zone. End of week 9, end of 2 games. The Chiefs lost, had a chance at the end, a small chance. And your Raiders, you okay? The Raiders went for 2, didn't get it. You okay doing the podcast?
I'm all right.
You're like,
I'll push through.
It could be good. It's a better draft pick.
That's what they keep saying. Yeah. Brock Bowers looked good though, Doc. I heard you say that multiple times this week.
Brock Bowers was going to be fine. We talked about it on VSiN this morning. No brace on, and been waiting for him. I have him in Scott Fishbowl, which is a tight end premium league.
This is 3.5 points per catch if you have a tight end. Yeah.
77.8 points today.
And you're winning, I'm assuming.
I would assume. It's on that 99% kind of deal. All right, little background noise here. All good. Cleaning up the war room for the day here. Let's go over some thoughts and analysis and so forth. Where do we want to start?
We'll jump on the first one. We already have a question from Mike, the Packers owner. He's asking, hey, Doc, hope all is well. Is Tuck 100% done? He's talking about Tucker Kraft. That seems like the biggest injury news today. Tell me your thoughts on his injury.
We only got one angle from the video. So here's the deal on Tucker Kraft for today, Sunday. It's still, the game just ended. But from in-game video, we saw it was his right knee. It was a contact injury to his right knee, but only one angle. From that angle, we deduced that he's out of the game for sure, and at least an MCL sprain, MCL tear. Could there be more? Apparently so, because head coach after the game said serious, and there's some word leaking about an ACL. Let me tell you something. I never left the field or the locker room without knowing an ACL tear. We never needed the MRI to confirm, but we always would get one.
Mm-hmm.
That's where we're at with Tucker Kraft. If the word is leaking and the coach says serious, fear like he tore his ACL as well as his MCL, which would mean season and surgery. Let's hope against hope the MRI is negative and there's something fooling them. The vast majority of ACL tears are non-contact, 70% or more in the NFL, non-contact. However, this is a contact one. Gronk had a contact ACL, MCL. This is a contact ACL, MCL, and we have to assume at this point that Tucker Kraft season is over with surgery, and that would be really bad news.
And just from a comp, I remember TJ Hawkinson a couple years ago had an MCL, then it was ACL, so he had ACL plus. Just from a timeline standpoint, what are you expecting from Kraft going into next season if he is ruled out this year?
Well, you got to let him figure out the associated injuries, let him figure out the surgery and then the rehab. Look, tough to be ready and 100% for the start of the season, but I would expect to see Tucker Kraft next season.
Houston had their quarterback suffer an injury today, CJ Stroud. It was a concussion. Tell me what you're seeing going into next week.
CJ Stroud.
It's the Jaguars, yeah.
CJ Stroud looked like he was trying to slide. It was a little bit awkward. His feet were first, but I guess they didn't call a slide because they picked up the flag.
They pulled the flag, yes, exactly, yeah.
Whatever. He got hit in the chest shoulder area, which makes it a legal hit. Not a blow to the head, but still, if you're sliding, you can't be touched. But in any case, back of his head on the ground. This is where people talk about, turf versus grass, and people are, they concentrate on the ACLs and whatever. And yes, there's some association. But let me tell you, your head bouncing off the turf is worse than grass.
Mm-hmm.
And CJ Stroud, there was no way he was going to return to the game. It took a while for them to officially rule him out, but the way that defenders were waving people on, he clearly was knocked out, and there's no way to get him back into the game. As far as next week, just because he was, quote, knocked out and ruled out, that's not an absolute that he can't clear for next week. Although there's almost higher threshold for quarterbacks, not only for clearing the concussion protocol because of the eyes on quarterbacks like Tua, etc., and the league doesn't want another one of those. But also, if a quarterback doesn't participate all week in practice, basically, does it rule him out a little bit anyways? Now, I get it. CJ Stroud, Davis Mills, no offense, Mr. Mills.
Mm-hmm.
We'll have to see what happens. It's not a certainty that CJ Stroud is ruled out next week at this point in time.
Next one is they see multiple things when this guy gets hurt. Puka Nacua, say injury prone. I see every time he gets he's on the field, he has a major big stat line, but he leaves the game. He left the game today after falling on the football. What did you see on video when they have a big game against divisional game against the Niners next week?
In general, I certainly hate the term injury prone, and I would not say Puka's injury prone.
Right.
He lays it on the line, and is he prone to injury because he takes hits? Okay, maybe, but it's not the same injury. He's not soft. He always comes back well. He was having a great game, and then on this running play on 4th down, gets tackled, falls on the ball on his sternum in the chest with a defender on his back, a chest injury. I believe he could have come back into the game, but for the score. It was a 3-score game approaching the 4th quarter. He was on the sideline. He seemed like he could have come back. I don't see this as a long-term deal. I think he could have come back in this game. Certainly a sternal contusion, you're very sore, and they certainly don't want to risk it. But I don't see this as major for Puka Nacua, and he was looking good prior to that. So I hope this is something where at the next game he's ready to go.
And they said it was precautionary. There's a chance he could have returned, and you said it was, like you said, score. So there's a chance too, right, that he was held out. Next one I have is Aaron Jones. He missed a couple games. He was on IR due to a hamstring injury. He's back. He suffered a shoulder injury. Tell me what you saw in the video.
AC joint sprain, non-throwing shoulder, because neither one's a throwing shoulder, I guess. I'm just referring to Joe Flacco, who played well. But Aaron Jones, AC joint sprain. Look, will he miss practice time? Yes. Will he be able to play next week? I believe he will. With an injection into the AC joint, I believe he would be able to play next week. And obviously you make your money with your legs as a running back, and that part will be fine. The question is what his usage would be, especially if he misses some practice time because of the AC joint. You're not shooting it up to practice, but you will shoot it up to play.
And they have Jordan Mason. He's played well in his steed, and they may, like you said, they might be a little bit more carries from Mason this week. You spoke of Flacco. Tell me what you saw after he had the right shoulder injury last week, and then I'm going to group this up with the old quarterbacks. You gave me a snicker last time. I wanted you to tell me what you saw in Aaron Rodgers in his thumb pregame.
You know what the definition of old is?
What is it?
For doctors?
Huh.
Older than the doctor is old. Younger than the doctor is considered young. So I think they're both young
There
quarterbacks.
you go. That's a good time. That's a good baseline. There you go.
And obviously that's a floating timeline.
Right,
young
right.
versus old. All right, let's talk Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco, AC joint sprain that we talked about from this war room last Sunday. Went into the locker room, got x-rays negative, got an injection, finished the Jets game, did not win. And we said then that Joe Flacco would play this next week. Zach Taylor said, well, limited playbook, only 3 weeks, maybe not. And of course, Joe Flacco played. And even this morning, we're talking, there's the other guys in the room, the young guys were asking, is he going to wear a shoulder brace or harness? No, not for an AC joint. And I've injected Phillip Rivers, he lets me talk about it before, and others, throwing shoulder, and you play through, and you don't notice the difference. And what did Joe Flacco do? 470 yards and 4 touchdowns.
Unbelievable, yeah.
Right? And needed every bit of it. Almost pulled the game off.
Still couldn't, yeah.
Still was a dramatic ending. They had the game won, and it's a dramatic ending there. But in any case, look, more of the same for Joe Flacco. Not much practice. Baby, they have a bye, I think, correct? Cincinnati,
I'll check with you real quick.
I believe Cincinnati has a bye.
They do. Oh yeah, because we're going to talk about T. Higgins next. They do have a bye, correct? Yes.
And coming off the bye, Joe Flacco will probably practice. He probably will still use a game day injection in 2 Sundays from now, but Flacco will be there to play. However, the Bengals, who knows? Will Trey Hendrickson be there? Will he get traded now? It's a good question, right? Given the Bengals record and what have you.
And also their rookie Shamar Stewart left with a left knee injury. He's like the heir apparent, if Hendrickson leaves, if they trade him. So they have to deal with some DN issues, like you said. Next one I want to talk about, you talked about T. Higgins. Oh, go on.
Yeah, T. Higgins.
Yeah.
T. Higgins, late in the game, tackle along the sideline, went down. Didn't see a whole lot on the play. It was the end of the game, not much talked about. And with the bye at this point, don't have any reason to believe that T. Higgins wouldn't be okay after the bye. If there wasn't a bye, it might be a bigger issue. Don't see this as anything significant on T. Higgins at the end of that game.
Big one is the cluster injuries. I'm going to talk a couple. First one is the Jaguars wide receiver. First, tell me what you saw about Brian Thomas, and then we'll talk about Hunter and Diami Brown.
Well, it seemed like Brian Thomas Jr. pulled up on his hamstring a little bit, although hamstrings are hard to judge, and later was ruled out or said to have an ankle issue as well. So a hammy, maybe ankle issue, and Diami Brown concussion was ruled out. And
Travis Hunter in practice. Yeah.
In practice. So we don't know what sort of injury it is. They say it's not an ACL, but word is it was a non-contact injury.
Tea leaves ominous maybe, or what are you reading? I guess we don't have much to go by, no video.
But he got a pretty quick rule out to IR. During the week. And I'd have to worry that he's going to miss at least 4 weeks given the IR, right? And let's hope he can come back this season. I mean, let's take the 4 weeks and say he can come back. Right now, we don't have enough information, and we don't like guessing. If it's injury analysis, there's nothing to analyze here. We don't have any video. We're reading tea leaves. And look, if I were a Jaguars fan, I'll take the 4 weeks and call it a day. And hopefully he can come back.
They have a big divisional match against Houston this week. I want to have one timeline that we have a chat about is Joe Control Alt Delete Blockers is his nickname, Doc. Tell me your Tell me your timeline and Joe Alt. Also, Bobby Hart right tackle left. So there's some issues on the Chargers.
A lot of issues for the Chargers, right? They started off with issues from the season with Rashawn Slater out. Joe Alt flipped over to the other side. They started this game with Mekhi Becton out. Trey Pickens is back, but he lost his job to Bobby Hart.
Right.
Bobby Hart got rolled up on. Apparently, they're reporting groin and now ankle. It looked like he got his right leg and knee rolled up on. Bottom line is he did not return to the game. And then Joe Alt left the game, got rolled up on his right high ankle again, very similar to before. And unfortunately, there's some talk of even surgery now, perhaps the tightrope type surgery, the quote Alabama surgery. The takeaway here is re-aggravation is never good. You look at Trey Hendrickson, re-aggravation of the hip oblique. He was going to be out a little bit. Brock Purdy, turf toe week 1, missed week 2, played week 3, re-aggravated, and now that is a continuing saga. Joe Alt, re-aggravation setback here, similar high ankle sprain. Now they're talking potential syndesmotic ligament surgery. So lots of issues for the Chargers on the offensive line.
So it's not the same, I guess, like you see like stuff like Steph Curry, when he has so many ankle injuries, it just slips around with that laxity. Is that not the same with the ankle, or is it not better to do it twice on the same ankle? Or
well, that's totally different because Steph Curry's ankle is a low ankle basketball inversion sprain. And so every time he rolls it again, he's not tearing anything new. The ligaments are just loose. But the difference is if your syndesmotic ligament is loose, which is the high ankle ligament, the two bones at the top of your ankle aren't held together. And that's a problem. It's not, you're not where you need to be. For Steph Curry, he's where he needs to be 99.9% of the time. But when he rolls it, the ankle is temporarily out of place and back in, but no new ligament damage. A damaged syndesmotic ligament needs time and or surgery. And that there's rumor that's where Joe Alt is headed. But he's at least IR. He'll miss at least 4 weeks, likely 6. But not necessarily done for the season, even if he has this, quote, high ankle surgery.
We'll go to the Bills. They just pulled out a big win over the Chiefs. We have the Oliver injury on biceps. DeQuan Jones with his calf. They were able to manage through. Tell me what you saw on their other defensive end that had a heck of a game, Michael Hoecht.
Well, the heck of a game came from the other defenders, Espinosa
and Joey
Bosa, former Charger guy, former San Diego Charger even. But in any case, they made up for it. But the Bills D-line takes bigger hits here. They've already lost, Ed Oliver with surgery on the distal biceps, and Daquan Jones likely multiple weeks with a calf. Now Michael Hoecht, very clear, unfortunate by video, right Achilles tendon rupture. Very clear on video. We tweeted it. And look, it's a Dre Greenlaw type injury right at the get off. But what's amazing, and I really want to call out attention to this player here, because he didn't stop the pass rush. He didn't stop the play. It happened right at the first movement off his pass rush, yet he continued several more steps and stayed engaged in the play. He refused a cart. He hopped off the sideline. He wanted to stay on the sideline with his teammates. He did not go to the locker room, but unfortunately surgery and his season is over, and the cluster injuries for Buffalo continue. They get the win, a great win, but at a cost.
Speaking of cluster injuries, a couple I want to mention, Doc. Falcons. So they're already down Caleb McGarry. They're usually one of the top offensive lines in the league. He's out for the year. They lost both guards today, Matthew Bergeron and Chris Lidstrom. I don't know if you saw both those videos. They'll potentially miss time if they do miss time. It's a big deal for the run game of John Robinson.
Well, they got Jake Matthews going for him. He keeps his streak alive, even though he had a high ankle sprain. And so that's a pretty beat up offensive line. Got to give it to them. They had a nice game there, and they made it close, right? But the bottom line is, but for that terrible turnover, it wasn't at the end of the first half by the Patriots that gave the Falcons 7 points. I don't know the game would have been that close. So that's definitely something to follow, the cluster injuries on the Atlanta Falcons offensive line.
One I want to also mention too is the Carolina Panthers. They also they lost their right guard, who just came back from IR with an elbow injury. Their right tackle didn't play, and their center was missing as well. So that will also carry into next week. That's a big deal as well. Those are big, some things that are not really in the lines, right? But we put that stuff into six scores, and that's something that may potentially give you value if you're looking at our data at sixscore.com.
Yeah, and of course the ball's not round. It's not 100%. Carolina, with their O-line issues, still went into Green Bay and beat the Packers, right? And we talked about unfortunate Tucker Kraft there, but bottom line is you never know what's going to happen, but the cluster injuries that we talk about do pay off, and this is the historical 56.5% over 6 seasons, and this season at 62%, right? And against closing sides, Sunday lines.
You saw Justin Jefferson. Are any thoughts with his multiple shots of pickle juice for his cramps from a medical standpoint?
I saw that from Tom Pelissaro.
Yeah.
And how do we know it was pickle juice? Maybe somebody said. I don't know.
Right on the sideline.
He clearly was double fisting, double shots. Maybe it was a Dan Campbell, since they were playing Detroit. What does he say? Quadruple?
Oh, he takes like 16, extra shots, 4 extra shots or whatever. Yeah.
It was a Dan Campbell size pickle juice thing, double shot. Look, why pickle juice? It's called salt. Pickle juice is salty. Gatorade has salt content, right? Electrolytes, okay? That's why, quote, pickle juice. But is pickle juice any more effective than, electrolyte packet sprinkled in? Not necessarily. Certainly some people like the taste. Some people get a, jolt out of the taste, and, it almost feels like it works subjectively because the way that it tastes quite salty. The Gatorade and Gatorlights don't taste that salty. But there's nothing more powerful than an IV. IV, like, you can drink all pickle juice you want. It's got to get absorbed and through your stomach and the whole digestive tract. IV is the way to go. And it's also a little bit unusual in week 9 to get cramps. Justin Jefferson's got a lot of usage. He's been playing. So I don't think the cramps were that significant. If they were, they would have gotten him for an IV and not have settled on pickle juice, but not a big deal.
There's multiple other injuries, Doc. There's a Samaje Perine someone asked about in his ankle injury.
Before you get to Samaje Perine, I got to give a shout out. Yeah. JJ McCarthy did a really good job today. Coming off of injury. Certainly what we've been saying, his ankle is 100%. Does anyone doubt that now? I mean, he played really well. His ankle's 100%. And kudos to him, and kudos to Kevin O'Connell. They used these 10 days and got him ready for this game and beat Detroit. They did really, really well. Kudos to JJ McCarthy.
But yeah, real quick, what do you see in Perine? We just had real quick before we leave.
Eversion sprain. It's a high ankle variant, but not as bad as a high ankle. But for a running back, it's a big deal. I don't see him headed to IR with this, which is good news. But once again, Perine has the bye, right?
Yes, he does.
Cincinnati has the bye. So especially with the bye, I don't see this going to the 4-week IR type situation. He's got a chance to play next week coming out of the bye, but very soon after that.
Any more we want to add, Doc? I just have a couple. Any insights, cluster injuries? There's Texans O-line, Saints O-line. You go to sixscore.com. They're updated as soon as possible. Anything else, Doc, you want to add, or we can wrap it up?
We can wrap it up here, but we have, and we'll take any other last-minute questions here, but got a big game tonight, Seattle at Washington. We'll see what happens here. We have our opinions at Six Score, and we'll do the wrap-up pod for week 9 tomorrow at 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern. This way, some of the coaches or most of the coaches will have spoken, and we can clean up the breaking news Monday morning. But I think this Sunday podcast format, I think, is working out for the most part. Get a jump on waiver wires, get a jump on next week. And, we're filling the void between now and Sunday night football, the end of Sunday, quote, day games and Sunday night football. I think it's a nice space to be in. Any other questions?
I was going to say, speaking of tonight game, we have our halftime show that we do always. We gave out a pick for tonight's game. If you want to go back and look at the halftime show, you can look at there.
Yep. And we're still doing the halftime injury chats we do on Sundays from the War Room in case anyone's missing it. We add in Steve Fezzik and try and give you some actionable plays. Doug, what's our record there on that so far? It was 26-12 or 13, whatever, 60, a little over 66%, 67%.
Yeah.
That's documented, actionable stuff that we put out on the show at halftime between the early and late games on Sunday. But then like tonight and Monday, still be the regular halftime injury chat, taking questions, etc. Although not tonight, but like tomorrow's might be from the baseball field with my son or something, but streaming the game. But thanks for listening and watching. Any other last minute questions?
We do have a last question. Matthew Golden, top rookie for the Packers. They have a lot of wide receiver issues. Did you see the video analysis? He was left with a shoulder injury for the Packers.
I did not see it, but the boys probably put it in my timeline.
Yes.
I just one of those busy days. We'll catch that on the wrap-up pod. I don't want to fake if we don't really know what's happening with Matthew Golden there. But anyways, all right. Thanks for watching and listening. And Doug, are you happy we didn't have a thumbs up, thumb down section today? I mean, last week was the week before was the week of the missing quarterbacks. This week is the week of the return of most of the quarterbacks. And Doug was giving me grief about the thumbs up, some thumbs down. Gladiator-esque. And it made sense because he's like, dude, you guys are doing a podcast. And
it goes to audio format, guys.
It goes to audio. People can't see you. It's like, okay, fair point. I'll have to say. But talking about that, I thought Brock Purdy was pretty close to returning, and now Kyle Shanahan,
saying he's not,
who has been traditionally very honest about injuries, said he's not that close, which is interesting that he's not that close, and it's something he's going to be dealing with. So that's probably some big news that we'll be following along. It hasn't mattered so far. The
Jones has been okay. Yeah,
Mac Jones has been done well, but also the 49ers are the most injured team in the league, and they continue to win. Admittedly, the Giants had their own injury issues today as well. So we'll follow the Brock Purdy story.
Well, just speaking of the Niners too, their top rookie up on the D-line, Mike Williams, feared to torn his ACL. So just added to their woes. That's
on the MetLife turf.
Yeah,
we'll see.
We'll
see that controversy again.
Exactly.
It started MetLife turf. Started with Nick Bosa's first ACL tear on the MetLife turf. All right. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Thanks for watching and listening. Like, subscribe, whatever you're supposed to do. Thank you.